Okay, so today we're talking about the brand new VR title SuperHOT. Is it any good? And oh, this came out in 2016? Okay, so today we're talking about the much-loved VR title SuperHOT, which has definitely been out for a few years, and which I knew. Partly, this is a review, but it's also here to ask the question, in an ever-expanding universe of VR games, is SuperHOT still worth buying? Does it hold up? Let's talk about that. Hi, I'm Benjamin Butcher, he, him, and I make videos about tech and gaming. I really love what I do, so do subscribe if you like the hot garbage that I make. Gameplay. First and foremost, let's talk about slicing bullets. This is something that I somehow only figured out in the last levels of the game, but this really kicks up the badassery a couple of notches. Another thing that really makes things feel badass is catching and firing guns. Often, when you shatter an opponent, their gun just happens to fly towards you, and being able to catch it and fire it at an oncoming enemy feels, yet again, badass. Next, guns. So there is a reason, gun rhymes with fun, and essentially in this game you have 4 guns: the Uzi, the pistol, the rifle, and the shotgun. Honestly, these are really bread and butter weapons, and I have to say that the shotgun is probably my favorite. Overall, the weapons are easy to use and very destructive. The temptation with the game like this is to keep adding, of course, so the enduring theme with SuperHOT is that less is more, and that more is better. Did that make any sense? No? Great. Let's talk about the knife and gun collision system. One thing that I did notice about this is that it occasionally feels as though the game is being awfully generous to me. Like if, for example, I missed my attacker with a knife by a few inches, the game kind of just shrugs and says, same difference, and I hit them anyway. Next, let's talk about achievements. I really love it when game makers put some TLC into the creation of achievements. There are actually some great examples of this in my Dead Cells review, if you'd like to go over and look at that. SuperHOT has also done this really well. I think my only request is maybe to know how many there are so that I can know when to stop looking. I guess I could just Google it. Anyway, next, let's talk about the time warp concept. So, if you haven't played the game, the concept is essentially that if you move or cause motion, everything around you also moves. For example, if I wiggle my right hand, then the bullets that are being fired move closer to my body. Now, this isn't a totally original concept. The game's creator actually borrowed it from an earlier game known as Time for Cat, which I think is now defunct. Honestly though, I think we can agree that SuperHOT uses the concept to great effect. As much as I think it's important to credit the concept's originator, I have to say that SuperHOT is probably an even better use of this concept. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I really love the way SuperHOT has chosen to play with time. It's something which incorporates the look and feel of a lot of action movies while directly relating that experience to the user's gameplay. It's a genius idea, and honestly, it's addictively fun. Just a little aside here. As I played through this game, I found my arms getting tired from all of the movement, all the dodging, all the squatting, etc., and I was really enjoying myself. I found that this first-person shooter had the same kind of addictive quality as, say, Hades or Hitman. Now, given that VR is still very much in its infancy, I can't really help but wonder what the rise of VR will mean for physical fitness, especially in the gaming community. Next, let's talk about graphics. Okay, so the graphics are admittedly hella basic. If you're looking for some kind of No Man's Sky procedurally generated intricate masterpiece here, then you are out of luck. What's good about the graphics for this game is that you pretty much never have to wait for anything to load. Also, even though the graphical style is painfully simple, it's done in such a way as to feel kind of deliberate and artsy. Honestly, I really like it. Now let's talk about standing still. One really big limitation in VR is our current inability to run and move freely. Yet again, however, the game has addressed this really well because each spawn point in the game is more or less at the epicenter of a firefight. It makes sense that you as a player would be standing still. I think this is one of the things that really makes the game stand out, in that just like the game Half and Half, it takes the difficulties and limitations of the medium, and in embracing them, it creates a unique and interesting form of gameplay. Next, let's talk about plot. So the really big thing that feels like it's missing from this game is story and characters. In that sense, the game feels very much like a proof of concept, mostly because you're essentially just tossed from one action sequence to another. And while I understand that the VR industry is young, the truth is that games like Hades are beginning to do plot, characters, and storylines surprisingly well. As the industry matures, this will only become more true. Eventually, a video game is going to win an Oscar or some award of equivalent importance. More than that, the movie Hardcore Henry shows us that we can have compelling characters and plot from a first-person perspective. Summary. Leaving aside the lack of plot, it feels to me as though we'll look back on SuperHOT in the same way that we looked at Mario or Doom. In a way, SuperHOT's developers are incredibly lucky to have gotten in at the beginning. Having said that, the genre-defining games of the N64 wouldn't have been what they were without the same kind of inspired design and innovation that we're seeing here in SuperHOT. So, to answer the question, yes, SuperHOT absolutely holds up because it's a classic. And yes, it makes you feel like you're stepping into the Matrix, and that's fucking cool. Okay, that's pretty much it. I'm BRBTG, and as always, I'll be right back.